Hello, my Teaser King family. How is everybody today? Hope everybody is well. Let's get down to business. So, as I've told you, I was watching the Roman Empire and on Netflix. It was okay, but the problem was I liked that they did Caesars. I don't think they should have done Caligula. I think they should have done Augustus. He was actually a very good emperor, just so we could all see what a very good emperor looks like. Um, we'll look at the gold price. We'll look at baseball today. We'll look at college football week one. I've now filled in the defense from last year to get a grasp on expectations for week one here. We don't have anything else to go by, right? We have just last year. So we can see like Miami of Ohio, excuse me, gave up 16 points a game. So we can at least use it to imply that this year we know what the team is. Did they get a new coach? How's their quarterback? And then we can see they had a pretty good defense. Last year, we know there's graduation. We know there's NIL. It's just a very, very weak guide of what they were last year. Akron gave up 28. I don't expect that to get better. Ohio State gave up 11. I do expect that to get better. And the Georgia-Clemson game, Georgia gave up 16, Clemson 20. So we can probably bet the under. I'll almost guarantee you Georgia does not give up 2 touchdowns a game. It'll be under 14, maybe back to under 10. All right, so we'll get into that in a minute. First, we got to do gold, and then we can do the baseball. So the paper gold price, that is really doesn't mean anything, but the price in paper is $23.19, silver at $28.91. Again, these are fantasy prices, and I say that just so you know. These are all done by derivatives. So you can see at about 6 in the morning, it was 23.37. Somebody put in a big put option saying, I'm going to sell at 23.37, and he bought back at 23.23 at about 9:45. Then it goes up at 10, which is surprising. It normally goes down. They delayed it, and they did another option at 23.27, which they sold at 23.17. So they made $10 an option. And then they went and bought an option at 23.17 up to 23.24. Now it's sitting about 23.19. They really don't know what to do with them. Again, this is absolutely meaningless as far as the real value of the physical gold. This value is nowhere near 23.19. So why do I show it if it really is meaningless? Well, we just want to see what's happening in the derivative market, just to get a little flavor. But knowing it's like watching a football game, but we know it's an exhibition game. That's quite what this is. This is like preseason. This isn't real. It's preseason. So you want to see the game just to see what's going on, but you know the game's not real. So that's gold right now. Let's get to baseball. So let's look at how we did yesterday. 624. All right, we had Cleveland under 8, which won. We had our 7 unit. Our big one is Philadelphia. They killed the Tigers. Seattle lost. Boston, our 3 unit, won. Pitt under 10. And again, I didn't understand why it was so high. And then they scored 20 runs. So very weird at Cincinnati. Cincinnati lit them up pretty good. So I went under 10 and lost that. I had the Dodgers that won. I had San Diego that won. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go 4-1. The big one was Philly, 7 units, so I won. The others were 3 units, and I go 3-1 on those. So 6. I made 13 units yesterday. Pretty good day. Kansas City, I had didn't bet it. 1. Cleveland under 8. 1. Oakland lost. Oakland lost to California. Now there's moving days. So today's Tuesday, and yet all these moving, some of the series moved. All right, so 625. We start off with Cleveland, Baltimore. Logan Allen, 8-3 with the 5-2-3. Cole Irvin, 6-3 with the 3-4-5. And again, we note that Cleveland with this great bullpen. And I think Baltimore has a fairly good bullpen, too. Baltimore's is a 3.08, I believe, if I can read that right. And Cleveland's got a 2.35 bullpen. So Cleveland, you automatically have to look at the under matchups because their bullpen's incredible. So Logan Allen's not too good. Cole Irvin, 6-3 with the 3-4-5. Over under a 9. So I almost would play it under because really they're just not going to get a lot of runs on Cleveland. The starter comes in, goes 3, 4, 5 innings. Now he's 8-3 with the 5.23 ERA. So he's probably had a few bad games, but overall he's had 8 good games. He got 8 wins. So Cole Irvin, 6-3 with 3-4-5. You got Baltimore's a really good team, good hitting team. What's their batting average? Baltimore's hitting 253. Cleveland's hitting 245. So 2 pretty good hitting teams. But it's Cleveland's bullpen that scares you to take the game over because they'll shut out Baltimore like they did yesterday. So I think you got to bet Cleveland under with this bullpen, even though the starter's a 5.23. Winning 8 games, I mean, and giving up 5 runs is crazy. So, so I'm not going to play the game. I don't like the starters with the bullpen. It's kind of misleading. So then we get to the next game. This is 6:40. So this is tonight. We got 2 hours. Philly at Detroit. We got Rangers Suarez, 10-1 with the 1.75 ERA. Tarek Skubal, 8-3 with the 2.50 ERA. He used to be in the ones, and he's had a few bad outings. Now let's bet. I bet Rangers Suarez shuts out Detroit. Can we make those bets at the casino? That the one pitcher can shut out the other team that doesn't have a 300 hitter? I was looking at the lineups yesterday. Philly won. They killed them, right? And Philly, you look at the lineup. Batter number 2 hits 300. Batter number 3 hits 300. Batter number 4 hits 300. I think J.D. Martinez is there. I think Bryce Harper is one of them. Another guy. So they got, and where they bat their 300 hitters. Not only do they have 3 of them, they bat them 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Exactly how you want to bet your lineup. You want those guys up more. So it made sense to me. So here you had it, and they shut them out. I didn't hear the announcers raving about how the Tigers can hit the ball, how Cole Keefe and now he's starting to hit. Yeah, Cole Keefe went 0 for 3. He's in the 240s. And I love when the announcers make a big deal about a guy in minor in A ball. Yeah, I'm sure he's just as good in A ball as he's going to be in the majors because the pitching is exactly the same. Wow, these announcers are just so bad. They're really terrible. The analyst is explaining how to hit or to hit a cutoff man. You gotta get the ball over and you got to turn the hands. And I'm like, oh my God, what? I learned all that in like little league, right? And they're like major leaguers who don't know this. Unbelievable. So with that said, I'll shut up. You got to go with Ranger Suarez. I mean, he's going to Detroit won't score a run, but with Schoolball, it's 7.5. So we're going to go Philly under 7.5, and we're going to make it 7 units. This will be our big bet of the day. Again, Schoolball, maybe he's at home, will pitch better, but his last couple outings, he was shit. Ranger Suarez, the only time he had a bad outing was in London, and he, probably had to get his, his time zone and everything. So look for this game to be Philly will probably win 4-0. Tigers will not. They'll be lucky to get a hit in the game. That's how bad the hitting is. Seattle and Tampa. Oh, I took Baltimore. Okay. I got Baltimore against Cleveland. I didn't bet them, but I took them. Okay. Seattle, Tampa. I already looked at the games early. And okay. Seattle, Tampa, really hard. Tampa won yesterday. Seattle's at 125, 7.5. That's what Philly is, 125, 7.5. Luis Castillo, 6-8 with the 3.63. Zach Littell, 2-5 with a 4.20. Both, not much there. I stayed away from Seattle because of the travel. Tampa did win, but I didn't bet it. Let's see. Seattle, 3.71 ERA with a 2.21. In Tampa Bay is a 4.25 ERA, and they hit 2.35. So I would think Seattle would be a small play here, but I'm not going to play it. I don't like this game at all. There's certain teams you like: the Yankees, the Cubs, Kansas City, Baltimore, Philly, and then there's certain ones you just stay away from. Seattle, Tampa Bay. All right, Toronto and Boston. Didn't play this game either. Kevin Gausman Boston's a 120 favorite, 9.5. Kevin Gausman 5-6 with the 4.24. Brian Bellows 7-4 with the 4.83. I would think this is an over. Let's see, Toronto and Boston. Boston with the 3.41 ERA, 2.54 batting average, which is up from the 2.47. So they've been hitting the ball well. Toronto, 4.49 ERA, and they're hitting 2.32 right where they were. So I like Boston at home here. Go Boston, beat Navy. So let's go Boston, 3 units. All right. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Cincinnati 125, 8.5 in Cincinnati. Mitch Keller 8-4 at the 3.11. Hunter Green 5-2 at the 3.35. So it's funny how the other over/under was 10 and this one's 8.5. I like the game under 8.5. I think 2 decent pitchers. I mean, they don't really hit. I mean, Cincy hits 227 and Pitt hits 220s. They both hit 227. So but I don't know what that means. Does it mean anything? I mean, they could still get 10 runs or shut out. It doesn't. It's not really a variable that you can look at and go, "Oh, I'm going to bet the game under because they both hit 227s." I think the only way you can do it is if Scherzer, Verlander's on the mound. The Yanks and the Mets, the all New York games. New York Yankees are 145, 8.5. Garrett Cole, I thought this was his first start of the year. I know he's been injured, but no, he did play against Baltimore. 4 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs again, and they lost 7-6. But again, that's 4 innings. So what's you gonna do against Mets? What you gonna do when the Hulkster goes wild on you? We've got David Peterson 3-0 with a 4 ERA. I think that I take this. I took the game over 8.5, but I didn't bet it. I think Cole is only going to give you a few innings, so you're going to get into the bullpen. The Mets, their pitcher's 3-0 with the 4. We know how the Yankees can explode. Now, see, the Yankees bullpen was like in the twos, is now 339. So maybe one of the pitchers is moved on or to the minors or injured. Anyway, it was 287. It's now 339. They're hitting 250. And the Mets are 352 ERA, hitting also 250. So I think there'll be runs scored here. Cole will be nice for a few innings, but I don't think it's like Scherzer. Scherzer pitched, I think, 5 innings, shut him out, and I think pitched. They didn't get a hit off of him, but that was it. Atlanta and the Cardinals. Atlanta 130 over under 8.5. Ronaldo Lopez 5-2 with a 1.57 against Kyle Gibson, who's not bad. 5-2, 3.44. I am going to go under in this game. The Cardinals have been starting to hit. Atlanta is on and off. Hey, Greg and John. But these are looks like two decent pitchers. So we're going to go under Atlanta under 8. We'll go 5. It's up to 8.5. All right. It was 8 this morning. We'll go 5 units on this. So far we got Philly under 7.5, Ranger Suarez, and Atlanta under 8.5 with their one of their guys, 1.57. The Dodgers and the White Sox. I like the Dodgers here. Bobby Miller 1-1 with a 6. Chris Flexen 2-6 with the 5.03. I think it just comes down to hitting. We know the Dodgers can hit. I don't know 1-1 with the 6, but Flexen 2-6 with the 5.03. I think the Dodgers are going to hit the hell out of the guy. So I like the Dodgers, but let's make them a 3-unit play. The Dolphins and the Chiefs. This was a playoff game. The Chiefs won 26-7. Now they're going to play baseball. And it's funny, as Mahomes could play in the game. I think it was a center fielder. Damn good one. I don't know how well he hit, but let's just say he throws the football better. KC's 209.5. Yoni Chirinos. Okay, 0-0 with a 3.60 against Seth Lugo, 10-2 with a 2.42. So I got one of their aces going. So go KC, and this will be 3 units. Go KC, beat Navy. Greg and John, sounds good. TK, Stenson Benson. Why did you retract Stenson Benson? Panthers win the cup. Yeah, I saw that. Didn't watch it. Just saw the final was 2-1 as I was checking my baseball scores. I don't care. I didn't watch it. That's why I'm just not interested in hockey at this point, especially Florida, playing Edmonton. Just no interest at all. It's like golf. I'm beginning to lose interest because there's no players in it. There's absolutely there's no star to watch. I think with these sports without the stars, you just don't care. I watch a bunch of guys. I don't know their name. I don't really care. Even basketball, I watch very little. You don't care either, but you keep bringing it up. Conor McGregor is the best player, I guess. I have no idea who that is. Okay. Texas, Milwaukee. Texas 105-9. Andrew Heaney 2-8 with the 4.21 against Bryce Wilson from Milwaukee 4-3 with the 4. So we got a bunch of crap. Let's see if either team can hit, and let's see the bullpens. Texas with the 4.56 ERA in the bullpen, 2.38 batting average against Milwaukee, who's a 3.34 bullpen hitting 2.55. So they hit a little bit better. Milwaukee at home, and they're a dog. Yeah, I like Milwaukee here. Did I play them? I'm not going to bet them. I'll take Milwaukee, but I'm not going to bet them. They have the better pitcher. They got the better hitting, and they're at home, and they're a dog. So I don't understand that one. So I like Milwaukee. Colorado and Houston. Houston's been playing well. Verlander still out, I guess. We got Austin Gomer for Colorado. I keep running into him. It's like he pitches every day. 1-4 with the 4.36. Hunter Brown 4-5 with the 4.72. Houston's a huge favorite, over under of 8. Can Colorado score on the road, or is it just the pop-ups in Colorado that go for homers? Did I play this? I played Colorado, Houston. Nope, I let this one go. I looks like an over in my view. Oakland and California. The Raiders again. They're a big dog tonight, 125-8. Mitch Spence, 4-3 with the 3.86 for Oakland. Tyler Anderson, 6-7 with the 2.48 for the California. I took California. Good pitching. They won yesterday, and I don't think Reggie Jackson's playing tonight. So I'm gonna take California. No bet though. Hard to bet on Tyler Anderson, 6-7, 2.48. Washington and San Diego. Mackenzie Gore, 6-6 with the 3.49 against Adam Mazur, 0-2 with the 7.27. Jesus Christ. How pathetic are these guys? See, I'm just gonna let this go. Just too pathetic. You would think Washington, because Adam Mazur is 7.27 ERA, or over. This looks like an over. It's a 7.5. How can this not go over? So we'll say San Diego over 7.5, just because. We'll go 3 units on this. All right, Minnesota, Arizona. Joe Ryan for Minnesota, 5-5 with a 3.13 against Brandon Pfaadt. I keep running into him every day too. 3-6 with the 4.37, and I took Minnesota, but I didn't bet it. And the Cubs and the 49ers, Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs, 1-4 with the 7.46. He ain't what he used to be. Randy Rodriguez, 2-1 with the 4.82. What do you do with this? What did I do with this? I didn't do anything. I let it go. All right, so here's my picks. Philadelphia under 7.5 with the aces, both aces on the mound for 7 units. I like Baltimore, no bet. Pitt under 8.5, no bet. Atlanta under 8.5, 5 units. Did I talk about Atlanta? I think I missed a few. I don't know. Oh no, yeah, this is the 157. Yeah, Atlanta under 8.5, 5 units. Kansas City for 3 units. Washington over for 7.5. Did I talk about them? Oh, okay, with the San Diego. Yes, I did go over. Okay. Yeah, Washington over with Missouri 0-2 with the 7.27. Mackenzie Gore 6-6 with 3.49. And yeah, because it's only 7.5. All right, so we did take Washington over for 5. We like Minnesota, no bet. We like the Dodgers, 3 units. The Yankees, Mets over 8.5, no bet. Boston, 3 units. Milwaukee, no bet. And San Diego, over 7.5, 3 units. So let's just look at the bets. Philly under 7.5 is the big play. Ranger Suarez, you'll shut out the Tigers. If you guys can bet that, bet that. The Tigers won't. They'll be. You can almost bet them to no hit them. I doubt the Tigers will get more than 3 hits. Atlanta under 8.5, 5 units. KC 3 units. Washington over 7.5, 5 units. The Dodgers 3 units. Boston 3 units, and San Diego over 7.5, 3 units. I love these ones where the pitchers aren't that good, and you look at the over under at 7.5. You're going, what doesn't make any sense? How the hell can it be 7.5 and the pitcher's got a 4 ERA and the other guy's got a 5? You're like, I get they don't hit for average well, but against these pitchers, they will. Wayne Gretzky was my favorite. Bobby Orr is my favorite. You have any hockey cards? Yeah, I showed you the Bobby Orr cards. I got some Gretzky's, Lemieux, rookie, Patty Roy, rookie, Yzerman, rookie. That Yzerman 1 count, 1 of 1. A lot of Joey Sakic and the whole Wing team when they won that. I have these 90 count cards. They were a brown card, very pretty. So I got Brett Hall and Yzerman and Fedorov and Dominic Hasek. I got a lot of his rookies. I got well, Nicholas Lindstrom. I got a lot of his rookies. He's his cards don't have much value, but Bobby Orr is the one that I'm most proud. I do have a Gordie Howe, 69 Opishi, Bobby Orr, 69 Opishi. Um, it's funny when you're buying them when you're just starting out. I knew I love Bobby Orr, so I was like, I'm getting Bobby Orr cards, and that just made sense. That these cards, you know, the more the demand, the more the price, as we're learning with gold. And so I got a real nice mini 1969 Orr card. Probably $100. And I didn't spend a lot on cards because you're thinking, they won't have a value. And they don't unless they're PSA 9 or 10. As I show you the Mantle card, 65 PSA 9 at 60,000, and the Montana rookies 100,000. But those are the graded 9s and 10s. Otherwise, the Montana rookies probably $500 or something. And it's got to be graded, and it's got to be at least the mint. I think the mint's probably a couple thousand. The 9, but anyway, so the point I'm trying to make here is why didn't I buy a Bobby Orr rookie? And it's just you kick yourself because if you would have found a rookie in mint condition, thing's probably 100, 200 grand, and you'd have got it for maybe $300-400. I think the Jordan rookie card. Now I doubt there was a 10 because you just never saw him really centered. But let's say a 9. I mean, I could have got a nice mint Jordan for $400-500, but I didn't think it didn't seem prudent. I wasn't a Jordan fan because I was a Piston fan, so I liked Isaiah, but I liked Magic and Kareem and Dr. J and Bird, but I didn't like Jordan. So I didn't get the rookie Jordan card, but I know I saw it, and this rookie Bobby Orr card. Probably even the rookie Jim Brown card, which is near 100 grand. So you're scared to spend 500, but you're not realizing that if it's in really mint condition, nicely centered and corners sharp, like my Bobby Orr is a very sharp card. The 68 Mantle I showed you, very sharp card. My Montana is very sharp, a little bit off center, but you couldn't find it centered. I have two beautiful Walter Payton 83 cards, but they're so off center. There was nothing I couldn't find a centered one, but these are mint, but they're off center. They're worthless. No, worth $5, but if they were centered, they'd be worth 1,000. But it just shows you're scared to spend 500 versus, well, it's an Orr rookie or it's a Jordan rookie, and you should get. And we knew the rookie cards had more value. We never understood why. It's his first card. I don't give a shit. Who cares if it's first, second, or third if you like the player? So I never got the Orr rookie but I didn't get the Gretzky rookie. I got his third and fourth and fifth year. But I did get the Lemieux and the Roy and the Yzerman rookie card. So at least I got some good ones. Hockey was great back then. See, and I think that kind of turns you off is when you have those great, like, baseball, watch an all-star game from the 1960s. Yeah, we're going to start Koufax, and then Bob Gibson's going to pitch the next 3 innings. Then we'll get to, Juan Marichal or Tom Seaver is going to come in. And our batting order is going to be, we're going to lead off Willie Mays, and then we'll lead off Pete Rose, and then it's going to be Willie Mays, then Hank Aaron, then Johnny Bench, then Roberto Clemente. I mean, the problem is then you got today's guys, and we got, Riley Green's the big stud on the Tiger. Who? He's hitting 240. Come on. That's the problem. And none of these type of players. That's the problem. You're so spoiled. And I mean, just look at the Showtime Lakers. There's the whole team: Kareem, Magic, James Worthy, Byron Scott, the whole team in the Celtics: Parrish, McHale, Bird, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge. I mean, the whole team's fucking good. Now you can't find anybody like that in the league. One of the guys. Don't tell me that um, James Harden is equal to that, or Steph Curry. They're not. They're not even close to it. LeBron's not close. He's not close to Larry Bird or Magic or Kareem or Dr. J or any of those guys. He's just not close to it. He's just a big guy, and they don't call fouls. They call fouls if you hit him, so he walks to the basket, but it's not impressive. Put him in the 80s. Let him face the Pistons with Rodman and Dumars and Isaiah and Lambert. Guy'd average 6 points a game, and you wouldn't even see him. They'd knock him down the whole game. So basically he's Karl Malone and or Barkley or Olajuwon, and they'd eat him up. That's why they never did anything until Clyde Drexler kept losing, and Malone and Stockton couldn't beat him. I mean, that's the problem. Now you look at the guys and you're like, see, you bring up hockey. I'm like, who are you talking about? Lemieux? No. Gretzky? No. Patty Roy, Sakic, Korea, Yzerman, Brett Hall. It's so hard to get into because these guys are so bad. The rules keep changing. I don't know why they got to change the rules. Leave the rules alone. The game is the game. Leave the rules alone. And so how do you get excited over Florida? First of all, over who's the name a guy on their team. I only know their red uniforms because I saw the team picture after they won. And even Jaeger, Cellini, Pavel Bure. I mean, you have nothing like that. Even if you do, you just don't. Connor McDavid, he's secondary at best. So it's a very different thing, and it's very hard to watch because after getting used to that, you watch this stuff and you go, this sucks. Just like golf. I watched Nicholas and Lee Trevino and Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf, and then Tom Watson comes in, and now you're watching who? Who are these guys? Xander Schauffele and Ricky Fowler. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm better than those guys. I mean, it's a joke. But I've been watching old Vegas, and it's the same thing. I went, first time I went was 1968. I was 9 years old. We drove to San Francisco, and we stopped in Vegas, and we stayed at Caesar's Palace. I watched my dad play slot machines. And they let me on. There was a little runway around, so I couldn't go in the casino, but I could go on the runway. And I'd go, well, play that slot machine. It was I just love the lights and the colors and everything. And then I started when I was 21. It would be 1980, and it was just beautiful, and all the Stardust light up, and all the Flamingo Hilton light up. And now you go, and it's like, how the fuck do you ruin Las Vegas Strip? Where's the lights? There isn't any lights. You made all these big ones. They don't light up. The Venetian, the Wynn, I mean, they're nice 5-star hotels, but I want to see the Stardust and the dunes and the sands and those guys. I don't really want to see, instead it's Bellagio with the fountain, but I light it up, throw some colors on there. So, I mean, I never thought they could ruin the Strip in Las Vegas. And to me, it's basically ruined. Restaurants are so expensive. The hotels are so expensive. It's like, no, I'm not interested. Football still has stars, I guess. Well, football, we got Mahomes, we got Burrow. And, I mean, you always had Joe Montana, but you could have Lawrence Taylor, and you could have Walter Payton and Earl Campbell and the Steelers, Joe Green. So you could have those players, right? And you always had good teams, the Raiders, the Steelers. Now you got the Chiefs, and you got Cincinnati's not a great team, but you like Chase and Burrow and Jefferson. So you always, for some reason, they still get the players. Baseball doesn't get the Willie Mazes and Hank Aaron's anymore, but football still gets the Jeffersons and Chases and Burrows and Mahomes, and that's the big difference. So you still have that. You're still that's a betting game because it's once a week. And it's hard to bet baseball, as we can see, and basketball is the same way. So it's much easier. I didn't bet a lot of basketball until the playoffs. I didn't bet on Larry Bird or Magic at all. I mean, like I said, when I was in Vegas, I bet on Sacramento to beat Boston, and I actually won the game. Boston played the Lakers. They were on the West Coast trip. I'm at Caesars, and I don't bet it. And the next day, they had to fly to Sacramento, and they were 1.5 point favorites, which I thought was really weird. Almost thinking it's fixed. So it's 1.5 point favorites. Danny Ainge is on Sacramento. I figure the Boston's got to be tired. They just played the Lakers. It's the next night. They're on the West Coast. And Danny Ainge wants revenge. And I took Sacramento, and Danny Ainge hits a 3-point shot at the buzzer or near the end of the game to win it. Excuse me. And Sacramento wins the game like 102-101, and I have 1.5, and I can't believe I won it. I can't believe I bet on Sacramento against Boston, and then I can't believe I won it. And it was Danny Ainge hitting a 3-pointer at the end. That's about as much baseball as I bet, or basketball as I bet. I wouldn't bet it normally with the bookie, not like I bet football, which was every, I don't know, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes the Monday night games, but and all the bowls used to be very good. The New Year's Day bowl used to be very exciting. Now it sucks. But it's football's a once a week bet. And so I'm betting it in the 70s, and I'm betting it in Joe Montana and Jimmy Johnson, and I'm betting him, and I bet the 84 Miami over Nebraska game. I had 14.5 points, and they won the game. That was the big upset. I had the 14.5. I think I teased it up to 20.5 because I know me, I would have played the teaser. And I kept waiting for Nebraska to blow them out. Miami kept coming back, and Bernie Kosar, beautiful game. But it's a once a week, and it's exciting, and it's drama. More so baseball, it's 5-0, the game's over. Basketball, the rules are so bad, it's unwatchable, so very hard to bet on it. Hockey, there's nobody that interests me, so that really leaves you football. I think I'll always bet football. I don't think they can ruin it for me to not want to bet it. It's hard for me to watch it, but to bet it, it's just it's always, the passion's always there to bet it. I'm trying to beat them, and as you can see by the way I look at my variables, I am able to figure it out. It's like a puzzle to me where the others aren't. Baseball, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm betting the under because I got Ranger Suarez with his 1.51 ERA, and I'm going, well, Tigers are going to get shut out, and the Tigers have Skubal. So okay, that kind of makes sense. But a lot of these games are who the fuck knows pitching, and the teams can't hit. Teams have 4 hitters hit around 200. You can't do it. But football, it's not about that. It's, you look at the defense, you look at, I got Mahomes, I got Burrow, I'm going to bet that. And that's kind of how you look at it, and you figure it out, and then you win at it, and you go, okay, and it's once a week. I can study it for the week. I'm already studying week 1 pro and week 1 college. We're going to go over shortly. So that's really what it is. And then, you're a Walter Payton fan, so you go to a card show and you get Walter Payton cards. If I went to a card show now, I don't know what I would get, honestly. I would look for the 65 Mantle, or I'd look for the 55 Mantle and Koufax and those guys. try to get them ungraded, but try to look at them, see if they're mint condition, but just not graded. That's what I would do at a card show. But I've got so many of them. I couldn't. There's no way I could ever sell them all because I got too many, and I got too many good players. I'd be running thousands of auctions. So we will see. But anyway, that's kind of it. Hey, Real D. Thank you. Thank you. You're clapping. I appreciate that. So I can go over baseball again with you, Real D, just real quickly. I'll give you my picks. Philadelphia under 7.5, 7 units. That's the big play. Atlanta under 8, 5 units. Kansas City, 3 units. Washington over 7.5, 5 units. The Dodgers, 3 units. Boston, 3 units. San Diego over 7.5, 3 units. But the Philly game's the big one. If you can, bet that the Tigers get shut out because the way they hit and the way Ranger Suarez is, Tigers will be lucky. They'll be lucky to get like 3 hits in the game. Hopefully he'll pitch all 9 innings, but probably not. You're welcome, Greg Don. Real D, Grega. All right, so let's go back to college football. I'm not going to redo the line. It's too early to look at it every time, but we will go through. Now we will go through the next phase. So the first phase was putting the games in the line. The next phase was quarterbacks, new or returning, and new with the transfer. Now we put in the defensive points. And so let's go through that. Florida State, Georgia Tech. New quarterback for Florida State, but he's a transfer, Uglia Buglia. Georgia Tech's got Kings, same quarterback. The over-under is 53.5. The total, the scores, the line's 12.5. Now I plugged in the defense from last year, but we have to have some source of what the team is, but with the grain of salt. Florida State gave up 16 a game. They had a killer defense last year. I'm expecting the same thing. We have the same coach. I would expect Florida State not to give up more than 17 points this year. And Georgia Tech gave up 30. Maybe they get a little better. I'm not sure. So with this, knowing Uglia Buglia is going to throw 3 picks and not get the points, I think this is an under game because I think Florida State's defense dominates the game. There was 16 defense last year. Okay, they lost a few players, but when you got a Mike Norvell as the coach, he's going to find new players. Second string's pretty good, you know that. So I think Florida State's on a mission too. They got fucked out of the playoffs, as did Oklahoma, as did Oregon and Georgia. Look for those 3 teams to come up very big this year, very pissed off. So I haven't put the score in yet, but right now I think Florida State dominates the game. Their defense, they won't be able to score much. I think it goes back to the Georgia Tech game, which was, I think, 27-20, Georgia won. So I think it's about that. Over under 53.5. Florida State's not going to score, and then Georgia Tech's not going to be able to. I think this is a lower scoring game. But you can see Georgia Tech gave up 30 a game last year, so now you know what to do with it. You're going, oh, so they really weren't a great – they had a good quarterback, and they had good offense. So maybe they can score a little, but they're going to have a hard time. But Florida State, if Travis was here, I still would have trouble laying 12.5. So Georgia Tech can score. They're a good team. They're a good coach team. They're just not in Florida State's league, but Uglia Buglia kills their offense. All right, so this is the 8:24 game. The second game's SMU, Nevada. SMU's 23.5, 56. Both quarterbacks are returning. Nevada gives up 33 a game, and I don't expect that to get any better. And SMU 17, which is very surprising because usually they score 40 and give up 40. So SMU, a very good team. I look for them to kill Nevada because Nevada, with the 33 defense, Preston Stone, the SMU quarterback, is going to have a field day. See, this is the point. If SMU is playing Florida State, they're gonna have a hard time moving the ball against that because it's really they put pressure on the quarterback. That's what you get from a Florida State, an Alabama, a Georgia. You can't move on them, right? They're in the backfield before you are. They got this tough defense. You're not scoring on them. So you never get in trouble with your offense against teams like that. You avoid. You just say, no, fuck it. And that's what you have here is the reverse. SMU's got Nevada with a 33 defense. How much better did they get? How much NIL players did they get, if any? Probably none. They probably lost players, but they didn't gain any. SMU might have grabbed a few NIL players. They're a good team. And with the 17 defense, I expect Nevada to not score, and I expect SMU to light up Nevada. I mean, they give up 33, and here comes Preston Stone and SMU with a very strong offense. I look for this game to get 50. I think this is a really cheap spread, 23.5. Now, these aren't picks yet. I haven't made any picks. I'm not going to make picks now, but just analyzing this game, I can see where SMU is going to have a field day on this defense. And that's really what you're looking for. North Carolina, remember, this is a class I'm teaching you what to do. So try to keep that in mind. North Carolina, Minnesota. Both teams have new quarterbacks. I got Minnesota laying 1.5 over under a 50. But what do we have here? We have both teams with new quarterbacks. Even if Drake May was here, I wouldn't bet on him. I don't think I bet one game on with Drake May. He was nothing. Both teams kind of have weak offenses. Both teams with the 27 defense. So they both give up 27 points a game. But in this case, neither team can really take advantage of these two lousy teams. So I don't know what you do with it. Maybe under 50, maybe North Carolina in 7.5 if you don't think Minnesota can be favored. I'm not too worried about North Carolina's new quarterback. I'm sure he'll be okay. Mac Brown, I've never liked him as a coach. Minnesota, Flack was good at Western Michigan, won me a lot of money, but not here. So I think this is a tease the dog moment here. I don't think Minnesota's strong enough to be a favorite. And their defense doesn't show. They both give up 27. So this is just a lousy game. Maybe it goes over, but you got new quarterbacks, so you can't even go there. This is a game that's a stalemate. Just no matter where you go, you can't go anywhere. Coastal Carolina, Jacksonville State. What do we do here? Well, we look and the spreads Jacksonville State 4.5 and 60. Jacksonville State's favorite because Rich Rod's their coach. We know his type of offense. He scores a lot. So they're an over team. Coastal Carolina gives up 25 a game with a returning quarterback. Jacksonville State has a new quarterback. They gave up 20 a game, but I don't know if Rich Rod, I don't think was there. So now you got to be, wait a minute, he never had a good defense at Michigan or at West Virginia. So he always ran that 3-3-5, which never made sense. The 4-2-5 I can live with, but the 3-3-5 seems stupid. You don't have anybody to tackle the ball carrier. I got 5 linemen, and you only got 3 big defensive players, so good luck on that. I can easily power you. So with Rich Rod, they should score. Coastal Carolina should score. I doubt Jacksonville State's going to have the 20 defense. Coastal Carolina, pretty good scoring team. They give up 25. I would bet Jacksonville State's going to give up 30 with Rich Rod. So this is probably an over game. But I don't know if it's an over game week 1 or we need it about week 4 after they get used to Rich Rod. I mean, look what he did at Michigan. He was horrible. Coastal Carolina got the new coach last year, did pretty well. Their coach moved on. So probably an over game here, but I don't love it. Now we go to the 30th. We got Michigan State 11.5 48.5 against Florida Atlantic. Both quarterbacks are transfers. Michigan State got the Oregon State coach, and Childs, the Oregon State quarterback, but he didn't do much last year. Ugliabulia fucked around. Childs came in. He had 4 touchdowns and no picks. One of these running type of quarterbacks. I don't know. Florida Atlantic gives up 25 a game. Michigan State gave up 22 with the other coach. He's gone. Oh, no. I looked up. This is Oregon State's defense, 22. Michigan State's was like 29. So you're assuming, okay, the defense will go, not necessarily in the beginning, but by the end of the year, could be a 22 defense. Florida Atlantic a 25, both with new transfer quarterbacks. It's a hard one because, Michigan State's going to be good with this Oregon State coach, but not right away. Not the first week, maybe week 4 or 5, after they get used to him. So Florida Atlantic, not a great defense. I think Michigan State's probably a good player with Childs, who's a fast, quarterback. They'll probably run a lot of quarterback runs because he can't throw. And their defense was a 25 Florida Atlantic. So hard to say, but keep an eye on Michigan State because they're Oregon State from last year. Temple, Oklahoma. Now we got the full story on Temple, Oklahoma. Temple, a Z team, gives up 36 points a game. Their new quarterback is very weak. He's a freshman. Oklahoma, they're laying 41.5 and 60. Had a 22 defense last year in the Big 12. Nothing really changed. Venables is a good defensive coach, so you expect better. Now you understand the 60-point total and the 41 game, because Temple gives up 36 a game, and they're going to give up 36. I don't see that changing. So Oklahoma basically is going to score the first 7 times they touch the ball. So you got 49. You're laying 41 down to 35. So I like Oklahoma here. They're at home. They're a little bit pissed off. They didn't get in the playoffs. He needs a good year. He got an extension. I don't know why. I don't know what kind of coach this Venables is. I'm not impressed. He struggled even with the quarterback. Anyway, I'll think about him in a minute when I'm thinking about another team. Dylan Gabriel. There you go. Even with Gabriel, I was surprised that they lost as many games as they did. So they did beat Texas with Gabriel. So new quarterback. Temple, I doubt, will score in this game. So it could be hard to go the 60. But if they go over, it's because Oklahoma did all the scoring. So let's go Oklahoma, and I guess I would lay the 35. They'll cover at halftime. I mean, this will get ugly. It'll be 49-0. Boom, the first. And if they don't score the first time, then they'll get pissed off and they'll score the rest of the half. Defense should play 22 defense against the 36 defense. Here's where the mastery comes in. Oklahoma's going to have no problem against this defense, but Temple's going to have a problem against the 22 defense. And that's what you're looking for. I'm laying 41, but here you've got a team that gives up 36. So they're just gonna sit there and watch the guys throw the ball. Hey, he threw another touchdown. I mean, that's all Temple can really do. So look for Oklahoma big here. Western Michigan, Wisconsin. I'll tell you when the line's fucked up, but in this case, I don't think the line's fucked up. I think 41's about right. All right. Western Michigan, Wisconsin. Wisconsin laying 23.5. Over under 52. Both teams have new transfer quarterbacks. We know Van Dyke from Miami. He's great. No problem with who he is. Again, they're going to try this air raid defense, but our offense, and we'll see. Western Michigan has a 32 defense and Wisconsin a 19. Well, we know Wisconsin's got a good defense, and we know the Ohio State / Cincinnati coach is a very strong defensive coach. So you're looking at a 19 defense playing a 32 defense. Western, I don't think is going to do a whole lot here. Wisconsin tends to blow out at home, so I like Wisconsin here. Probably, I don't think you can go under in this game because if Western gives up 32 a game, and Van Dyke should light them up, and whoever their running back is, and the strong defense will get 2 to 3 interceptions, I just don't think Western's going to do anything. I think Wisconsin's going to pound them. So again, just looking at it, you don't know. But once you see a 32 defense for Western, now that was last year. We get that, but it shows you it's this. It's the same coach, I believe. Even if it's a different one, he's not going to change it away the first week. It's going to take 5-6 weeks of messing around. Excuse me, blow my nose. All right. You guys saying hi to each other. Isn't that adorable? All right. TCU Stanford, TCU 9.5, 61. Both quarterbacks are returning, although Stanford's is very weak. Ashton Daniels, Hoover for TCU. He was okay. He wasn't as good as Duggan was the year before. TCU with the 27 defense, maybe it gets into the 25s, 24s. Stanford, 37 defense. Stanford's a Z team. They're terrible. Look for TCU to be, gangbusters this year. The coach, Sonny Dykes, we know he's explosive. Hoover's now in his second year with this offense. Look for them to get fired up. I mean, Dykes is a good coach. So either this was against 2 years ago when TCU went to the championship game, was it the other guy's players? And then last year he didn't have his quarterback, so that hurt him. And then this year, is it he doesn't have the other guy's players? Now he's got his players and they're just not good, or he just had a bad year. But he's a damn good coach. I like TCU here big. Lay the 3.5. Stanford with this defense, I don't see it getting any better. And the quarterback's weak anyway. So look for TCU big. UTEP, Nebraska. UTEP with the 28 defense, returning quarterback. Nebraska with a new freshman quarterback, and an 18 defense, which we would think with Rick Rule or Matt Rule, the coach, more of a defensive coach. I don't know what do we think Nebraska is going to do with a new freshman quarterback? We know UTEP will probably not score a lot, but we don't know that Nebraska is going to score anything. I don't like this 27. I think it's too high of a number. I think, if anything, it's under 50 because I think UTEP's not going to help us, and then Nebraska puts up 24-0 or something. So I think this game's an under. Again, you've got an 18 defense, so you probably have it similar, the same coach, and UTEP's just 28 defense is just, not going to – even Nebraska can move on that. All right, Penn State, West Virginia. I've touted West Virginia, but let's take a look at the numbers. Penn State's laying 10 and 50. Penn State is an 11 defense. Quarterbacks coming back. West Virginia has a 28 defense and a quarterback. They're both good quarterbacks coming back. So what do you do So this is a 28 defense. Maybe it comes down to 24. And the fact they're at home, maybe you make them a 20. Penn State's an 11 on grass because that's they play. It's going to be emotional at West Virginia. So I still think West Virginia's a live dog here. I don't know Penn State with the 11 defense. It wasn't an 11 against Michigan or Ohio State. So now you got to wonder where the 11 came from. And West Virginia with the 28, but they played in the Big 12, and they're all explosive offenses. So I think this is closer than you think. I think it could go over. I think West Virginia can put in the 20s, and Penn State will be in the. I think it'll be so they'll be what 28, 24 is a 52, and the over under is 50. Yeah, 44. I think this goes over, and I do like West Virginia at home in a revenge game. I think they're pretty even. Again, you got to realize, Penn State, weak schedule, weak Big Ten. West Virginia is playing Oklahoma, Texas, TCU, Texas Tech, Kansas State. They're playing a lot of good offensive teams. So to give up 28 in that league is probably like they played in the Big Ten, they probably give up 22. So that's where I'm at with that. So I still like West Virginia. Miami of Ohio, Northwestern. Let's fill in the blanks. Miami of Ohio is a 16 defense. Northwestern's a 24. The better team is the underdog. Northwestern's given 3.5. 44. Miami with the returning quarterback. Northwestern with a new one. I think Miami of Ohio wins this game straight out. They're getting 3.5. Over under 44. They have the better defense by a touchdown. Now, granted, it was in MAC, but let's look at some MAC teams. Where are the MAC teams? Kent 35, Eastern 24, Akron 28. Ohio was a 15. They were a good defense. I think that's all I got. Yeah, that's all the max. So Miami with the 16, I think very strong defense. I don't think Northwestern's going to be able to do shit against it. This should be a close game. Take the dog. This is a good game. And here I would take Miami with the 9.5 and not fuck around with the over under 44 to get it. If I did anything, it's under 50. But I'm very comfortable with Miami and 9.5 with the returning quarterback. So it's going to be nothing for him. Florida International and Indiana. Indiana's got a new transfer quarterback who's very good. I think he's from Coastal Carolina or one of those teams. Florida International returning one. Indiana's 19-point favorite, over under 52. But let's look at the defense. Florida International gave up 32 a game. Indiana gave up 30 in the paltry, pathetic Big Ten, where Ohio State didn't average shit. Penn State, Michigan ran the ball. You had no offense at all in the Big Ten. So the Florida National, the returning quarterback, and Indy with a transfer good quarterback. I think this is over. I don't think there's any way you're laying the 13 with Indy, but I think the over is easy. And with these 32 and a 30 defense, this score is going to be in the 30s or upper 20s. It'll be 56-60. Your over under is 52, so I go 46. Yeah, this is a good over. I skipped Akron, Ohio State. Ohio State's a 50-point favorite, 56 over and under. Akron, a Z team with a 28 defense, and Ohio State with an 11 defense. See, once you put the numbers in, it really helps you pick the game better. So you take out of this, Akron gets 0. Ohio State probably in the 40s because it's a 28 defense means they're not very good, especially in the MAC, and Akron's a Z team. New transfer quarterbacks. We know how good Will Howard is. So you gotta love Ohio State here, only because Akron's not scoring on an 11 defense, and if anything, it got better. And Ohio State got good running backs and receiver. So even if they pull out their starters, the second team's just as strong. And Will Howard's going to play 3 quarters. Usually in the first game, they're going to play him a lot. So they're going to light up this team. Akron has no defense to stop them, and they're not going to score in Ohio State. So you're looking at somewhere in the 40s to nothing. And that's why you like Ohio State, because I only have to get late 44. If I take the total, I need 50, right? I go 56 down to 50, and I go, okay, over 50. But I'm not going to get help from Akron in this game. This is not – Akron's giving you 0. So it's all Ohio State. So I go for the cheapest way, which is 50 down to 44 is better than 56 down to 50, especially if I'm only going to get Ohio State scoring. So you go Ohio State and lay the 44, and you know you're going to get 50 points from Ohio State in this game. Connecticut and Maryland, good God. Connecticut gave up 30 a game, new quarterback for both. Maryland's a 22-point favorite with the 45 over-under. So Connecticut gives up 30. Maryland gives up 23. They both have new quarterbacks. I wouldn't touch this game. I would. Maryland laying 22 with what? With a new quarterback and a 23 defense? I would avoid Maryland here. Connecticut could play pretty well, even though they don't score. The game of the week, Georgia, 13.5, 48 to Clemson. Both quarterbacks are back. The game's in Atlanta at the Mercedes Dome. Georgia with the 16 defense against Clemson with the 20 defense. There's only one way to play this game. Over under 48 is under 54. That's the only way to play it. 13.5 is a big number. Clemson will come to play defensively. They don't have the offense. I don't love their quarterback. Georgia is going to run it down their throat, give the quarterback some time. He should be able to pass it. They lost McConkey. They lost Brock Bowers. So give Georgia a little bit. But Black Bowers missed 4 or 5 games. They had a backup in, so he's fine. McConkey was hurt a lot too, so the backup's fine. Georgia wins this game by at least 10. Maybe 30 to 20, and we're at a 48. We go under 54. I'm not sure Clemson gets 20. I'm not sure Clemson scores more than double digits. I could see them getting 9 or 10 points in this game because as they get behind and they have to throw, it's all over because Georgia will beat the quarterback back to the spot. They don't have to respect anything. Clemson can't run the ball, not against this team for sure. Look for maybe a shutout or an under 10 from Georgia. 31, the Georgia special, 32 to 10 to 42. We're at 48. I would not go over 42. No fucking way in a Georgia game. So this is Georgia, but maybe 7.5. But I think under 54 is such a strong bet. Again, how is this over under so high? What are these guys in Vegas thinking? You have a 16 defense and a 20 defense. And the Georgia defense, they fired the defensive coordinator. Believe me, this year won't be 10. So you're going to get a Georgia team that's going to swarm and just shut down this Clemson team. They don't really have the offense to bother them. I mean, Milrose bothered them a little, and C.J. Stroud couldn't throw against them, but ran against them when everybody wasn't expecting, and they're playing man on man because Marvin Harrison Jr. So, of course, you're going to play man on land, and then he ran. Okay. So the running quarterback does bother him, but Clemson's quarterback doesn't run, Klubik. So look for Georgia. Give up a 7, maybe, 30, 31-7, 31-10. Go Georgia. All right. See, you find the best team and you pound them and you bet it, and that's where you make your money also. We make our money in the Sun Belt and the MAC and here. All right. VTech Vandy. Vandy with a good quarterback, Diego Pavia from New Mexico State. He's a new transfer. Virginia Tech's Drones is a returning. Not that good anyway. VTech let up 24 and Vandy let up 36. See, that's when you're playing the SEC, good luck. Tennessee's going to light you up. Georgia's going to light you up. Kentucky's going to light you up. Florida probably lit them up. So 36-24. 36 is their on a defense. 24 is VTech's. 13 and a half. I like Vandy at 19 and a half, but I think it's a high scoring game. I think I like this game over. With Thiago Pavia, I think Vandy can score, and I don't see VTech with the 24 defense. It's not like when Beamer was there and they'd give up 14 a game. This is a 24 defense. So let's take this game over. Kent and Pitt minus 23 and a half. Both quarterbacks are new. Total is 56. Kent gives up 35. So we looked at Ohio gives up 15. Miami of Ohio gives up 16 in the MAC. So you're saying, wow, the MAC doesn't have offense. Kent, 35 in the MAC. So we see how bad Kent is. Even Akron was a 28. Look how bad Kent is. Kent with the 35. Pitt gives up 27. They're no picnic either, which is surprising because Narduzzi was the defensive coordinator at Michigan State. So you would think Pitt would have these great defenses. He's given up 27. Both quarterbacks are new. They're laying 23. Does Pitt have enough offense to score 30 points? But against Kent, that they're just pathetic. So because Pitt gives up so much, this is almost an overplay. But I don't know that Kent can get offense. This is probably if Pitt had a little better defense, I'd say this is a shutout. But I think they'll get 10 points. Pitt, again, a new quarterback. I don't know what, 31-10 maybe, which maybe you go over 41. You're probably not going to go over in the total. So until we see Pitt better, maybe the quarterback's a superstar. All we know is he's new. EMU, Eastern Michigan against UMass. Eastern's a 1.5, 48. Eastern Michigan's defense is a 24, and UMass is a 38. Go Eastern, beat Navy. Gotta love Eastern there. A new quarterback. He's a transfer. UMass as a returning one, but he wasn't very good when he was there. This is strictly UMass can't stop the win with the 38 defense, and Eastern, who's a pretty good team, and a 24 defense. So over the game, we're getting 4.5 in Eastern. Yeah, I mean, even if the game's close, 4.5. That's a ton. And it's a 38 defense. I mean, they suck. Eastern should score in the 40s easily. I don't see how UMass is going to keep up. Eastern with the 24 defense. So that's why we're looking at the defenses and we're looking at the totals. They really help you. Colorado State and Texas. Colorado State with the 30 defense. Texas with the 17. Both quarterbacks return. Texas is a 36, over under a 60. And now you can kind of see why, because Texas, returning quarterback, good defense. Colorado State sucks. It's a big number, though, 30. Be advised of that. Miami of Florida. Miami with the 22 defense. Florida with the 27 defense. Games in Florida. Returning quarterback for Florida. A new transfer, Ward from Washington State for Miami, who's I don't think he'll do a whole lot in this game. I like Florida State as a live home dog. 27 defense, I think you'd think they could do better. And Miami with the 22 is not really good. Ohio State and Syracuse, or Ohio and Syracuse. Ohio with the 15 defense, good MAC team. Syracuse 24. Syracuse has the Ohio State quarterback who sucked last year, and Ohio's got a new one. Syracuse minus 15. I honestly like Ohio in this game. They're a good team with a good defense. Here's where you really get your upsets is the good defense. They'll stop you. And I'm not aware Syracuse is that good of a team, so they'll be able to stop them. And that's where you get your upsets. Good defense, they'll stop the McCord's terrible anyway. I mean, if you can't do anything at Ohio State, what are you going to do at Syracuse? With Marvin Harrison, you had, and here you don't. Tennessee State, UTSA, we can't really, all we can say is UTSA gave up 24 a game. We have no data on Kennesaw State, so we don't know what their defense is. And even if we looked at it from Division One, it doesn't help us, or Division Two. They play Division Two teams, so it doesn't really help us. Boise, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern with the 30 defense, Boise with the 25. New transfer for Boise is a freshman from SC. Georgia Southern has a new quarterback who's a freshman. So add a freshman with a 30-point defense. Boise, I think Boise's live here with this new quarterback from USC. You can probably get him some points. I guess they're a good running team, Boise. Georgia Southern's going to give up 30. It is at Georgia Southern, but I think Boise should get the win here. Old Dominion, South Carolina, both teams with the 26 defense. Returning quarterback for Oldie, new one for South Carolina. Obviously, Rattler's gone. I think Oldie is a very live dog in this game. North Texas, South Alabama. North Texas, the over team. They score a ton. They give up a ton. They give up 37. South Alabama is more of an A or B team, gives up 22. New transfer quarterback for North Texas and a returning. He's actually a freshman. He played 5 or 6 games last year, but he's still a freshman for South Alabama. They did lose their good quarterback. South Alabama with a 22 defense, North Texas 37. I think they're a live dog, North Texas, and or an over. Maybe an over game because North Texas will put up 40 points on them, and they have a 37 defense, which means they'll give up 40 points. UNLV, Houston, UNLV with the 27 defense, Houston with the 31. Houston's 3.5-point favorites, 56 total. New quarterback for Vegas, returning one for Houston, new coach for Houston. I'm sure they'll get the 31 defense down into the 20s. Willie Fritsch, good coach. I think this is a good over game. Vegas scores. Wow, they got a new quarterback. Maybe not. We will see. Western Kentucky, Alabama. Alabama, whole different team. 31.5 is the spread. 60 over. A new transfer for Western Kentucky. Milrose is back for Alabama. Alabama had an 18 defense under Saban, and DeBoer had a 23 defense at Washington. So they're going to be closer to the 23 than the 18. Western Kentucky gave up 28 a game. It's a big number, 31.5 with Milrose. We just don't know with the new coach. They should score a ton. On Western Kentucky's 28 defense. So 31 is such a big number. I think you go over 60 here. Sam Houston and Rice, they both have 26 defenses. Rice 10.5, 50, a new quarterback for Sam Houston, and Rice is a new transfer. I think I like Rice in the game. Well, they both have 26 defense. Maybe it's over, but we got to see. Nevada, Troy. Nevada with the 33 defense, Troy with the 17. Terrible coach. This is the Notre Dame offensive coordinator who sucked, is now the Troy coach. I look for them to not score a lot. Nevada, though, with a 33 defense and a returning quarterback, I don't know what to say on this one. Troy should score even with this terrible coach. Maybe I lay the 10. I don't know. UCLA, Hawaii, UCLA, again, we can't use their numbers. 18 defense with the other coach, but it's a new coach. And our other players back. Hawaii, we know, is an over team. They got a 32 defense. Both returning quarterbacks. Again, I think this is way over. 54. This is a joke. I think Hawaii lights up UCLA a little bit, but UCLA should light up Hawaii. Again, it's an 18 defense by UCLA, but with the people that graduated and the new coach, it's not going to be an 18, I don't think. Well, I hope it is, but I can't abide by that. Fresno State and Michigan. This is a very interesting game. Michigan is way too heavy of a favorite here. They're laying 21, over under 47. Fresno State has a great coach, and it's a 25 defense. Okay, with Mikey Keene back for Fresno State, who's a real good quarterback. And they play big games, so don't kid yourself. Michigan with a 21 had a 10 defense, but that was a lot of blitzing, and they didn't play anybody. New defensive coordinator, new coach, new quarterback, new running back. I honestly like Fresno State in 27 a lot. Over under a 47. Probably under, just knowing Michigan is going to run the ball and play defense. They don't have any offense in them. So I look for that, but I just think Fresno State, I can't remember the coach, good coach. I think he'll pound them right in. They'll both pound each other. I think the points are good. I think it's a live dog here, Fresno State. Notre Dame and A&M. Notre Dame with the 17 defense, A&M with the 21 defense. A new transfer for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. A&M has the returning quarterback. A&M's a 1.5-point favorite. A&M's defense is a 21. Notre Dame's a 17. Notre Dame with a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback, and they lost a running back, also to Denver. Over under of 49. I love this game under. This should be a very good under game. Southern Miss and Kentucky. We got Kentucky laying 25, over under 50. Southern Miss with the 36 defense against Kentucky with the 25. Kentucky, though, with the new quarterback. Southern Miss with the new transfer quarterback. Not that he's any good, but he has played. Kentucky will run it. Very good defense. Kentucky's playing good defense. I think this is an under. I think Kentucky can score, but I don't know that they're going to really take advantage with the new quarterback of this weak defense. Tennessee would pound it. That would be a lock if I had Tennessee laying 25 instead of Kentucky. Kentucky, kind of a weak, average offense, decent defense. Southern Miss, weak offense, and a 36 defense. So Kentucky should be able, probably covers the 19, but it'll, 31-0, 31-3. I don't know what to do with it. But the Southern Miss defense will allow Kentucky to win pretty easily. Georgia State, Georgia Tech. Georgia State and Georgia Tech both have 30 defenses. Georgia Tech's laying 19.5, 57. Play Florida State on the 24th. This is on the 1st or 31st. This is the 31st. They're laying 19.5, but you can see the defenses. They're both 30s. I expect Georgia Tech to get a little bit better. Georgia State, I don't know, but it's a weak defense. I look for Georgia Tech to blow them out here and definitely take advantage of this weak defense. James Madison and Charlotte. James Madison, outstanding team, laying 9.5 and 50. Got an 18 defense. Charlotte with the 28. A new transfer quarterback for James Madison from Washington. Charlotte with a new. Take James Madison here. They're way overmatched and with a great defense. Wyoming and Arizona State. Arizona State 7.5. 32 defense from Arizona State, and that explains why they sucked last year. Wyoming with the 23. New quarterback and a new transfer freshman for Arizona State. 32 defense. Jesus. I think that's why they have a new coach. You can always tell the bad teams they have a bad defense. I mean, good defense Good teams usually have good defenses. So, um, what do you do with it here with a new quarterback, but a 23 defense? How do you bet on a team with a 32 defense? It's very hard. Uh, I don't know. This probably goes over a 23 and a 32 defense. I can't imagine it's a 45. Seems really low. New Mexico, Arizona 30, and total of 54. Returning quarterback, great core. Arizona's got a great one. New Mexico's got a new one. New Mexico gives up 35 a game. Arizona, 20. They have a new coach. I love Arizona here. Lay the points. The quarterback, I mean, they're not going to fuck him up too bad. And they gave up 20 a game last year, so look for them to give up a very low number against New Mexico, but they'll be able to light them up. So go Arizona. LSU against USC. LSU 6.5, 66. Both teams have new quarterbacks. The game's in Vegas. LSU with the 28 defense in the SEC. USC with the 35 defense in the prolific Pac 12. So SC's got no defense. They bring in the UCLA defensive coordinator to run the defense. Is that going to matter? Don't know. LSU, Jalen Daniels. I think he's starting to look good at Washington, they say. Who knows? I'm the only one that can decide. Not any. I don't listen to other people. So we've got a terrible defense at SC and a not great defense in LSU. Love the over here, 66. The USC quarterback we saw in a bowl game, which doesn't mean anything because now nobody plays in them. And LSU, their quarterback I've heard of. So I like the game over. And BC, Florida State. Well, we already got Florida State with a 16 defense. BC with a 30 defense. Uglia Booglia sucks. BC with a returning quarterback who sucks. Florida State laying 21.5. I don't touch it. I like the under in the game. Under 48. BC's not going to score. Florida State with Uglia Booglia, I mean, they're not going to score much, even though it's a 30 defense. He can't take advantage of it. So you got to have a guy who's a good quarterback, like Tennessee or Georgia would kill him, or some of these teams with a good quarterback. So that's what I have in college. So it really makes a difference when you throw in the defense, right? Now you can see, like in the Miami Northwestern game, I like going to that Miami of Ohio against, and here's Miami of Ohio with the 16 defense. Granted, that's last year, but it's the idea. It's how they coach. So they'll have another strong defense. Northwestern with the 24 and a new coach didn't really get. Fitzgerald had some strong defenses when he was there. And a 3.5. And Miami's the better team. They got the quarterback back and a strong defense. Northwestern has a new quarterback and a weaker defense, 24 defense. So that's really how you're breaking it down. You're basically looking at the defense. You're looking at the quarterback. But when you see a 35 defense, can the quarterback take advantage of it? Like Uglia Booglia can't. But you let Dylan Gabriel, you sick him on it, and he's going to light you up, as well as some of the other ones. So that's kind of what you're looking at to pick. That's why the defense is key. Miami of Ohio has a 16 defense. You go, fuck, they can win the game. And then you look at the, what was it, Akron with the 35 defense, and you go, oh, this is going to be a field day. Now, I could go out there and throw for 5 touchdowns. That's what you have, and that's why the defense is critical. But you must take it with a grain of salt. That's last year's figures. I don't have anything for this year. All I can go, and this is how I explained budget in that interview. How would you do a budget? Well, I look at last year's numbers to get an idea roughly what it should be, and then I add or subtract anything new that comes in and try to get that total. I still can't believe I didn't get that job. What a joke that was. But that, and I'm still waiting on this job. I mean, I had that interview. It was only been a week. Just turned a week today. So I'm expecting to interview with the other manager and then hear it after July 4th, I guess. So I was talking with Jenna today. She didn't have power. She had it in the morning, my morning, and then I didn't hear from her for a while, and she didn't have electricity or internet all day. So she was a little frustrated. She was happy when it finally came on because she loses contact with me. I did send her some money for food, but that's the problem. If you don't have electricity and internet, you'll never get it, even though I sent it. And that's my concern with Bitcoin or digital currency or anything that you need the internet for. If the Russians take it out, you're fucked. I got 100 grand in my digital wallet. Yeah, but I can't get to it because we don't have internet. Now what do you got? So that's why I'll take mine in my hand. Thank you very much. All right. So that's where you're at with the mindset of college football, but you can see you can't do that with baseball. I can tell you Miami of Ohio has a 16 defense, right? And they got a good returning quarterback. And I know I'm going to get that quarterback. Now he might get hurt in the game, but I know I'm starting. I'm starting with Mahomes, so I'm expecting him to go the whole game. So then when you get to how do you work that in baseball? And that's really the struggle is, okay, we'll go at earned run average. And okay, you think like today, I took Ranger Suarez with a 1.85 ERA over the Tigers. They ain't going to hit him. They'll get 3 hits if they're lucky. He might no hit him. I mean, look what the other guy did, right? Look at the Houston pitcher, no hit him for 7 innings. How the manager took him out, the guy should be fired. But he no hit him. Well, okay, Verlander 2 hit him for 8 innings. Here comes Ranger Suarez. They don't have a 300 hitter on their team. I think they have 260 or 270. They got a bunch of 250s, and then 3 or 4 that aren't even hitting 200. So what are you going to get on that? So that's my point. Does that defense work in baseball as it does in football? So when I get a team that gives up 15, 16 points a game, then I can do it. But you got to make sure you clean it. So if they're doing it against Elkhorn State and they beat them 66-0, you kind of got to take the 66 and the 0 out. It doesn't do you any good. Now, if the game was 35-28, it does do you good. But you get a 66-0 game against a Division II team, you got to back that out because otherwise it's going to skew it. You're going to say, oh, look at this great defense. And then they give up 25 points a game to good teams. And you're thinking they're a 10 defense and they're a 25. So you do have to adjust it to. Yeah, it's amazing because in the pros they don't go play college teams in the pros. So the pros are pretty good, although you got to watch teams like Carolina and Indiana and Atlanta, these teams that just suck. That you got to take them with a grain of salt. That your defense isn't that good. You played Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina will suck. Chicago will suck. Minnesota will suck offensively, even with Jefferson because they don't have a quarterback. Washington will be curious. The Giants probably won't score 10 a game. And that's when you get into the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. Now that's a real team. And so you got to see, that's why you've got to see who they're playing and adjust accordingly, but not as much in the pros as you do in college. College, just because you get this Division II crap. What is that? Utah's playing Southern Utah. Why? Why are they playing Southern Utah? They play 13 games now. They got 100 teams in their conference. They're going to play Southern Utah It ain't a rivalry game. What the fuck you doing? Utah State maybe, but I just don't understand. Oregon's playing like nobody. I don't get it. Why are they playing such shit teams? Why isn't it even allowed to be scheduled? Sorry, we're in Division 1. You got to play Division 1 teams. Anyway, just frustrating. All right. So that's football. Again, we figured out the variables: quarterback, defense. That's the key variables. And hopefully you have a decent coach, not like Miami's. Baseball, we can't. We can look at starting pitching. We can look at the bullpen. We can look at the batting average. And it helps a little, but not as much as football helps. Like I said, I found the Miami of Ohio over Northwest. They're the dog, and they're the better team. So I found that, but I couldn't find that in baseball. I'd have to have a pitcher with a 2.0 ERA going against the Dodgers. I find that every once in a while where a team will be playing like the Dodgers or the Yankees, and this ace pitcher with the 2.2 ERA, and then I can bet them. And I usually win with them. But it's most of the pitchers are 4s and 5s, and you have no fucking idea if you're going to get help from them or not. All right. All right, the next subject I'm going to touch, since I was watching the Roman, the Roman, what do you call it? The Roman Empire Netflix. I'm going to talk about the Roman Empire. So from 250 BC to 68 BC was the Republic. From 67 BC to 500 AD was the Empire. So you ask, what's the difference? And I'm going to answer it. The Republic is sort of like what we are. We had the Republic, and now we have an empire. What does that mean, Howard? All right, let me explain. The Republic was low tax, free trade. Leaders were elected, so it was a republic. Free enterprise. Rome very quickly. We've heard this story so many times. Center of law, finance, and everything. A constitution, little interference from the government. But you can only be elected to one office one time. Imagine that. 2 presidents or councils, one every other month, afraid to give one man too much power. And that's how we started. No central bank, gold-backed currency, free trade, low taxes, if any taxes. I'm not sure we had taxes until the Federal Reserve came in, the central bank in 1913. I don't even think you had taxes on income or anything. How could you? I mean, think about it. That's one of the good things about no computers. You couldn't really pay tax because there's no way to send you the tax forms. What are you going to do? They're going to mail them to you, and you're going to mail them to Washington. Here's my taxes. I mean, they didn't even have mail. I mean, in the early days, the Pony Express, yeah, that'll take 2 months to get my taxes done. So they're afraid to give one man too much power, which is my whole thesis on government being corrupt and very hard to run a government. It's almost impossible. It's always going to go corrupt, and it's always going to blow up. And you can see it every time. Napoleon, England, Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin. And then you got the idiots here, Biden and Obama and Trump, and they're all corrupt as corrupt can be. Bush, Clinton, they're all corrupt. It's just too much power for one man. You've got to isolate it. You got to have competition. Okay, Greg, John, you're back. All right. So that's what you have now. So you can see how it parallels. In the beginning, nobody really had too much power. And with gold, you didn't have too much money. Now that they're printing trillions of dollars, and we have this huge debt, and we have this huge deficit, and we have all these billionaires because the dollar is not worth anything. So that's really the key. If the dollar was worth something, you wouldn't have any billionaires. It's because there's so much dollars that they keep printing, you have billionaires. So afraid to give one man too much power. And then here came Julius Caesar or Caesar's Palace. One man got too much power. Now, watching this on Netflix on Caesar's, he wasn't doing it for the power, he was doing it for Rome. He said, the senators are a bunch of idiots. I know how to rule. I'm smarter than they are. He was a general. He was a damn good one from what how much we believe Netflix. And he's got his own hotel in Vegas. So I thought I thought he was the right man to do it, but then you get Nero and Caligula and all these other morons. So that's the problem. The problem is when you get these idiots running it. That's why you got to have the republic where two presidents, one every other month, and one man doesn't have too much power. And if the man's gone, the man's bad. He's only there. He's in office one time and then he's out. So what do you have with the empire? You have all these. They're the ones with the power. So Julius Caesar, one man got too much power, and they killed him. Then you had Augustus Caesar, who was great. No wars. He ran it the way it's supposed to be run. But again, how often do you get a good leader? That's the problem. And then the bad ones screw it up, like Biden here, like George Soros, letting George Soros screw up your country. Then we get to Nero, very corrupt. Wood wanted all the wood to go to marble, so he burns the city. What an idiot. He wanted to build a monument for himself, so he burns the town down because it's made of wood and he wants marble. Oh my God. He blamed the Christians. Well, of course, had to be their fault. He debased the currency. And then in terms of debasing, he took all the gold out of the gold coins. That's the basement, as if this didn't have any gold, it just had copper. So now I don't have the value I have when it's gold. That's the basement, not printing dollars. After Nero, every other empire inflated the money. Oh, we got inflation. All the politicians bought votes. Sounds real familiar. Rome became a welfare state. Sounds really fucking familiar, which means they're handing out money. Look at all these people crossing the border, all these people on welfare. It's a bunch of bullshit. You want to make money, go work. And if you work hard and you can save, then when you retire, you have money to retire because you did it and you're capable of doing it. That's the beauty of our country is if you want to work hard and take responsibility for yourself, you get rewarded. Diocletian Empire wanted to stop inflation, divided the empire, inflated, put in wage and price controls, and this destroyed the Roman Empire. You can't do price controls. But what is an empire? So an empire is kind of what we have now. It's not elected officials. It's one guy. Well, back then it would be, Augustus Caesar was in charge. The Senate wasn't really there. Nero was very corrupt. He was in charge. Caligula was in charge. So you had one guy in charge. You might have still had the Senate, I'm not sure, but you had one guy in charge, not people voted in and everything. That's the difference between a republic and an empire. The empire always fails. The only thing that can work is the republic because you're not giving one man too much power. Constantine the Great moved the capital to Constantinople, which is Turkey. You issued a gold currency. Wow, what a great idea. In the East, he took them off the price controls, not the West. Then it worked. As we know it would. The East, the East fell in 476 AD. In the East, you took them off the price controls out the West. The East finally falls in 476. Big government kills the economy. The empire was a welfare state, which means you're handing out grain and you're not having the market economy anymore. You're just, oh, the people are starving. Well, go to work, make money, and buy the grain. No, we're going to just hand it out. Well, where are you going to get the money to hand it out? We'll print more. Well, and as you know, you print the money, it's worthless. So you can see the direct correlation between all these countries. If I talked about the other countries, it's the same thing, right? Holland was the number one, they inflated. France was the number one, they inflated. England was the number one, they inflated. So you can see they all inflate. It's all the same story. Big government kills the economy because they run out of money. They just want to print money. But like I said, the best way to explain it is we go and we get the ingredients, we bake the cake. And then as we're baking the cake, then this is socialism. We bake the cake, and then in socialism, everybody wants to eat the cake we made instead of them making their own cake. That's free market. Free market, everybody bakes their own cakes and eats them. Once you get big government and socialism, I go to work, I bake the cake, and everybody eats it. I don't even get to eat my own cake. And why are you getting a piece of my cake that I made? You don't get it. And that's why big government kills the economy. And God knows that's what you have in the whole world. Every country's socialism. Thanks George Soros for that. But where are you getting the money? You get the money from the free market economics. You get it from capitalism. We go and we make TVs and we make computers and we make phones and we make a lot of money from it. That's our money. We made it. We developed these things, these ideas, a cell phone. And the guy gets rewarded for it. But then all these people are just standing around going, well, I want, give me Social Security. Well, not Social Security because you paid into it, but give me welfare, give me food, give me this, give me that. Well, we have to take care of the poor. No, the poor should take care of themselves. No offense, that's how it works because everybody can work. Now, if you just can't work, you have, mental issues or physical issues, fine, we would take care of you. But that's very few people, not all these people. And then you make the government too big. They're doing projects, there's armies, they're doing dams and roads. There was a big road that the Romans did, like throughout their kingdom. It was probably from France all the way down to Italy and probably to Egypt. They probably had roads and everything. But that's where everybody fails. So the empire is not good, and that's what we have now, as opposed we should have a republic. That's what the U.S. is supposed to be, a constitutional limited republic after the Romans. So we took the Romans republic and we said, that's what we're going to use. Gold and silver, no central banks. And then they've created this welfare state where we're going to hand out money, and we're going to hand out money for votes. And it costs you $1 billion to run to do an election. Why is that? If I want to go be president, I'm going to be president. I don't have any money, but I'm going to be president. I'll take care of you. Nobody would care. I mean, they would, I'd have to spend all this money so I can sit there and run commercials, I would shut up though. Biden wouldn't know what to say about me. Like Trump, he's going to give tax breaks to the rich. Well, you know what? That's a good idea because the rich can run things and have the money to get things done. Like, look at Elon Musk. I don't like the electric cars, but he employs people because he has the money to run a company or Amazon or all those rich guys, Bill Gates. It's okay that the rich guys are, let them be rich. They're the ones who are going to have the companies and hire the people. I'd rather have those jobs than a government job where the government just gives me, well, go sweep the floor. Here's $50,000 or something. That's not what you want, or you don't want the handouts. Don't even work. I'll tell you what, we'll give you money, and you can you'll get food stamps and soup kitchens and stuff. No. I want to work. So if you don't tax the rich, and you let Elon Musk and Bill Gates and everybody do their thing, they can hire me. So I mean, that's kind of where that's what you want, is a limited republic where you don't have price and wage controls, you don't have a welfare state, you don't have big government. How do you afford big government? If you're a company, it'd be like having a big management team. No. We need small management. We need a CFO, an IT guy, a marketing guy. That's it. We need 5 or 6 head guys, and that's it. And that's the problem. When you make the government too big, they can't. It just costs too much money. Where do you get the money? The government doesn't have any revenue. See, if I'm Bill Gates, I get money for selling Microsoft, right? So I make money, then I can use the money I made to pay my workers. The government doesn't make money. At best, they get taxes, which is totally illegal. So they shouldn't even be getting taxes, but that's the point. So in the government, you don't want big government because they can't pay for themselves because they don't make anything. Building roads and schools are not getting revenue for you. Maybe if they did charter schools and they charge for them and they let it be privatized, that does work, but not like public schools, the worst, and building roads and what. This is all the government could come up with. We'll build roads, and now we're going to pay $10 million for some guy to put a road in. What, $10 million to put in a road? What, are you kidding me? And they take forever. At least make them do it quickly. Here we have several highways that are construction. It's a joke. Fucking build it. It should take you got 2 months to do it. And they'd hate it. If I was in charge, you got 2 months. If it ain't done, you're not getting paid. All right. So that's the Roman Empire, just to get a feeling of the republic versus the empire. The empire turns into one guy ruling it, like you get a Caligula or you get a Nero. So you get one guy. I don't even know that he's elected. I think there's a successor, because Caligula is watching. He just gets over it. Caesar was the first one to say, okay, we're not going to have the Senate anymore. I'm gonna take charge. I'm gonna take power. You guys don't know what you're doing. I'll take power. Really, he was trying to fix Rome. He was a very bright guy. So that was the point. But then you get into a Caligula who doesn't know what he's doing, who shouldn't be I don't know if he was the king, but shouldn't be running the empire. Then you have one guy. No. The Senate was the best idea. So you don't have one guy with too much power. He's cutting off heads and, Nero's burning down the city. I mean, these guys are idiots. Why are they running it? And this goes back to, you can't run it like that. You've got to have qualified people. Now, Julius Caesar was a general, but he was very smart at it. So you do get lucky with the few guys. And Augustus was very good. That was just a fluke. I don't know if they were related or not. I have to read up on it, but that's really what you're trying to do, is not give somebody too much power. And the last thing you want is to give the Federal Reserve a monopoly on printing money. Why would you give anybody the monopoly on printing money? You got to be out of your mind. How did that happen? And then why are we stuck with it? So Woodrow Wilson gave it to J.P. Morgan because J.P. Morgan likes monopolies. He runs the Fed. He prints the money. And then nobody's been able to go in and say, you know what, that's probably a bad idea for you to print the money because you're causing wars, you're causing stock market crashes, you're fucking killing the country. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to print the money because you're a fucking thief. And that's really the problem. Anyway, I don't want to get too much. I just wanted to touch base on the Romans because I was watching it. What is a city? It's protection. It's a place of worship and trade and exchange. So it's a marketplace. So you got to have a city's got to have protection, place of worship, and then it's a marketplace, grocery stores. Right, that's a city. Um, Mercantilism was a thing that was socialism. They come up with socialism. Again, it's we'll take care of you, and the whole thing is ridiculous. And that's where you really have the problems. In the war is you want everybody, you want Adam Smith's rule, right? You want Austrian economists. Go do your work, be a baker, go cut hair, do whatever is fine and make money and take care of yourself. And if you need, we can, there'll be help given to you. People will give to charity. And that way you can have rich people and people that are okay. And you can have poor people if they choose to work at a gas station instead of working at GM. Well, they have that too. But socialism doesn't work because, see, the socialists think, I don't want to do anything and I'll get money in. This is great. I don't have to do anything and I'll get money. And the capitalists, I go, well, wait, I can do this job and make good money, and I can teach and make money and pick football, make money. I can make money doing many different things, and I can let my money grow. So I like going to work and getting a check. I don't like when I'm not working. But most people like not working and getting a check. This is great. I get a check for doing nothing. And that's really the problem. That's where socialism comes in, and that's really the problem because people shouldn't be getting rewarded for not doing anything. Paint the house, you get paid. Mow the lawn, you get paid. Sitting around playing video games and watching TV, you shouldn't get paid for. So that's how I feel about that, and that's what the problem is. And there's too many socialists, too many people wanting to get paid. Where's the money come from? Well, either we print the money, which is no good because if we print the money goes to zero. So all the money I'm giving you is worthless. Or we tax everybody, and we're pulling the money from what the people who are working make. So you work, and then we tax you and give it to the people sitting around. That's no good at all. Everybody should be. You want to get money, you work for it. That's why you shouldn't screw the dollar up with the inflating, with the printing. That's why you should not have a monopoly with who prints the money. It should never be the government. Now that gets us into investments, and this will be our last subject. So then you have investments. And so you go to work and you make money, and you want to make money with your money. Now I got 50 grand, 60 grand. We'll do a tack on Wall Street. What do I do with my 60 grand? In an attack on Wall Street, it's I get 8% with no risk. So people that invest really don't want they don't want to lose it, right? The problem is they don't know what they're doing. I'm going to buy stocks. Well, first of all, you don't even know that your money's worth anything. So now my advice is your money isn't worth anything. Get it the hell out. You don't want it in stocks because the stock market's about to crash and the money is worth nothing. So the last thing you do is you want your money in the market or in a bank because you have to realize that the money has no value because these morons are printing the hell out of it because it's a monopoly. And so that's the first thing people don't get. So you're sitting there going, how do I make money with my money? And the answer is uh, the only way is to buy gold and silver to guarantee that you make money with your money. Otherwise, you can put it, what do you put it in on Wall Street, stocks and bonds, real estate trusts, or you put it in the bank, mutual funds, pension, uh, uh, um, annuities, money markets. So I've got my money in the bank. Now I got to trust that the money's good and the bank lets me have my money. Two more good luck trust. And that's the problem. So those are your investment choices. Or you can get creative and bet football, bet sports, go to the casino, bet blackjack. So everybody's betting to make money. If it's sports, if it's poker, if it's blackjack and craps, if it's stocks, bonds, everybody's looking for a way to make money with their money. But everybody's fooled because they don't realize the dollar's worthless right now. Because if you print it, see, I think that's the first concept people don't get. If you print the money, it's worthless. Well, you've got to understand you can't keep printing money. But what do I say here? I'm sitting there. France was the number one power from 1650 to 1789. Culture center, French language of the world, computers, world's largest population, and science. And that all came from the Roman Empire. And then you get to, then they had the French Revolution, which ends socialism. And then 79, French is the number one economy. French went to war a lot. 65% went to interest on the national debt. They went broke. Tax rate was 50% on individuals. The government went bankrupt. Talleyrand, print up paper money versus church land. Church owned 30% of the land, started the French Revolution, printed money, printed inflation, prices went up. Robespierre did wage and price controls because they always work. They worked well for the Romans. Began the reign of terror, chop off heads, the guillotine. Here comes Napoleon, no more paper money. Actually put France on the gold standard, lowered taxes. Smart guy wins battles, reinforced trade restrictions, and then he fights Waterloo in Russia, 1815. Mercantilism dies with Napoleon defeat, which is socialism. So, we printed money, which caused inflation, which caused prices to go up. That's France, that's England, that's Rome, and that's the Netherlands. So there's a running theme here. If you have the socialism and you print the money and you have inflation and you raise taxes, you go broke. Now, why is it so hard to see that? I mean, especially the Romans. I mean, everybody, that's like the Green Bay freaking Packers of the 60s or the Steelers of the 70s. I mean, how do you miss that? So the formula: Rome, Netherlands, France, England, and yet what are we doing? We're following. We're jumping off the cliff. Well, let's go to war and let's print a lot of money, and then inflation will go up, and then prices will go up, and we'll do price controls, and that'll be the end. We'll go bankrupt. We're this far from being bankrupt. That's why I say this is worthless. This is bankrupt. We don't have any money. We don't have a country. We don't have a government, and we're fucked. But we have the one ace up our sleeve, which is this. Anybody that's had this does not go bankrupt. Right? And that's the key. Napoleon went back on the gold standard. But because he lost, they got off the gold standard, and that was it. Then in 1821, England adopts gold, and then they're the number one power. Funny how that works. Let's adopt the gold standard, and then we're the number one power. France did it. The Netherlands did it. Rome did it. England did it. And then for some reason, you get off of it. Standard of living goes up. Longevity goes up. No wars because you don't have money for the military, which is a blessing because it saves a lot of lives. But the government doesn't want gold standard because they can't print. JP Morgan cannot have the monopoly on the money because gold is the monopoly. You can't print it. So people don't like that, the corrupt people like a JP Morgan, and then this is what happens. So you prosper with the gold standard, and then you want to go to war or do other things. You can't do it because you're limited because you can only print as much gold as you have. And then that ends up. So look what's happening now. We got off the gold standard in 71. And who starts buying the gold and silver? The Russians, the Chinese, and the Indians. And they joined BRICS. China now has 65,000 tons of gold. I'm talking everywhere, not central bank. Russia, 25,000 tons at 32,000 ounces to a ton. India's got a chunk. Saudi Arabia, all the BRICS countries are buying gold, buying. That's why the price never goes down because nobody ever sells at this point. And that's where it is. So the whoever adopts the gold standard, which is BRICS, wins. We've seen it in Rome. We've seen it in the Netherlands. We saw it in France. We see it in Spain. We see it in England. How many times do you need to see it before you realize, yeah, it works? And then you have the money printing, the inflation, the prices go up, the interest rates go up, and you go bankrupt. How many times do we got to see that? 6. Everybody that was number one did the same thing, and now it's broke. How many times you got to get hit on the head with it? So it's very obvious. That's where we're at. We're at the 18th hole, and the game, and we're down 25 strokes. We have no chance of winning, and we look across the course, and there's China with all the gold golf balls, and India and Russia and Saudi Arabia and South Africa and Brazil, and here they come with the gold. And 1821, England adopts gold, and now they're the new number one power. France did it in 1789, the number one economy, because they had the gold standard. But because it makes you so much money, you then get the corruption. Talleyrand, Robespierre, whoever did it in England. You get all the corrupt people because they got so much money that most people are honest. So crooks can come in and start taking it. Let's get off the gold standard. Napoleon wants to go to war. Let's get off the gold standard. Why are you going to war? You're the number one power with the gold standard. What the fuck would you get off of it and go to war for? What are you going to war for? You're going to Russia. Okay, let's say you win. What do you got? You got a bunch of land. Useless land. Well, maybe they go after Russia because it has the oil and the diamonds and the gold and the natural gas. Maybe that's why. But I hate to think Napoleon did it because I don't think that oil and gas and that was even used back then. This is 1815's Waterloo. So at what point, are they using oil, gas, and diamonds back then? I don't think so. Gold, yes. So that's the problem. It's the same problem every time. It's the same thing why football teams fail. Football teams are good. I mean, look at the 60s, the Packers, great team. They win in 65, 66, 67. What happens in 68? Lombardi's gone. Horning's gone. some of the key players start to leave. Star's still there, running, but you lost Lombardi. It's always because somebody leaves. Pittsburgh, 72, okay. They really don't get good till 74 when they get Swan, Stallworth, and Lambert. Then they're great, and they go till really 80. And then what happens? Joe Green retires, Wagner retires, Bradshaw sucks. Franco Harris is there, Swan and Stallworth are there. Why are we not winning? Because the defense isn't as good. Franco is still playing, but not that good. They never really replaced Mike Wagner, and they couldn't replace Joe Green, and that's the problem. So when those two retired, because Mel Blount was still there, so it's hard to figure why they couldn't. They were still in the playoffs in '80, but they weren't that dominant team that they were in '79. It's really funny. But Joe Green retires, so you start losing players and you don't replace them, and that's kind of what these are. So France goes to war and then goes bankrupt because it costs too much. So why do they keep going to war? And that's why you keep having this changeover, is then they come out with dollars and then it doesn't work. And then you realize the only way you're going to be successful is to go to gold because you can't print them. What did you do in France? Printed money. The money's printing went up, the inflation went up, the prices went up. Oh, the inflation bug again and 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 again. And here it is again. At what point do you not understand this? You're going to follow Keynes. The MMT people somehow think if you print money, it's okay. Wait, Talleyrand, print up paper money versus church and land. He prints up a lot of money. The inflation goes up and the prices go up. So what part of MMT are we missing here? That Talleyrand prints all this money, you have huge inflation, you go broke. Well, why didn't it work there? If you're going to do MMT and you're going to print money, why did France go out if you printed money? Oh, you still had inflation and the prices still went up. And then you have wage and price controls because things cost too much, because they have to cost too much because you made the dollar. It's not cost going up, alligator. It's the reason price and wage controls don't work is because you're printing money and the money loses value. So they would work if you didn't keep printing, because you would say, well, Coke's $2 and you don't print any. It would work. But if you keep printing money, now the $2 it takes $5 to buy what you did with $2. And so that's the problem. That's why price controls can't work, because you keep killing the value of the dollar, right? As you kill the value of the dollar, $5 buys you what a dollar. Look at my thing. A Pepsi was a dime. So if you put price and wage controls and kept Pepsi at a dime from 71, what would happen? Well, the dime is not worth anything anymore. Pepsi couldn't possibly produce the Pepsi at 10 cents a can because the cost went up because the dollar lost value. Now it's $2.50 at the grocery store for the 20-ounce can, which I don't even know if it was 20 ounces in 1970. It was probably 12. But because the money loses value, you must raise the price or go out of business. And that's the problem. So that's why it's a bunch of bullshit, this MMT stuff. We'll just keep printing money and there's no consequences. Well, how about France? That's not the same thing. How about England? Well, that's not the same thing. How about Spain? No, it's not the same thing. How about Rome? Not the same thing. What's different about it? Nothing. They printed money, they had heavy inflation, and they all went bankrupt. Time after time after time, but you have a secret formula that you can print money and not have inflation. Yeah, okay, I got oceanfront property in Detroit. Happy to sell it to you. So that's what the problem is. And the only solution is what? The gold standard. The gold standard saves everybody. It saves France until they inflate, then it saves England. England goes on the gold standard in 1821. Hey, age of classical liberalism, which is Adam Smith and Austrian economics. Hey, look at that. England's now the number one power because they went on the fucking gold standard. France was the number one power until they printed money and had heavy inflation, heavy prices, and they went out. And now here comes England. Now they're the number one team. They adopt Adam Smith views, 1830s, outlaw slavery, adopt free trade, rule of law, adopt gold standard, laissez-faire, which is leave me alone, and low taxes. And they're the number one power. Funny how if you do that, you're the number one power. But as soon as you keep printing, you bankrupt yourself because you can't kill the value of the dollar. Why is this so hard to understand? Or do you think that we won't print as much or we'll be okay? I don't really know how stupid these people are that you can't see this, read it, and go, oh, yeah, I guess if I did. That's why we buy gold, because every time you've been on the gold standard, you're the number one power. It's financial stability. It's stable money, basically, right? And that's the key to it. I never have to worry about inflation. So how do I beat these idiots who are printing the money? I buy gold and silver. Gold and silver protects you. Like I said, it's the protection. It's stable. You can't print it because it comes out of the earth. Nobody can print this, which is why JP Morgan wants a central bank and wants to print it and doesn't want the gold because they can't print gold. Gold comes out of the ground and that's it. So why am I telling you guys to buy it? Because it's stable. Nobody can fuck with you. Every country that's ever been number one had the gold standard since the Romans, and they all were number one. Who's got the gold now? BRICS. Where are we going? BRICS countries. I don't care which one. I'll go to Russia. I'll be happy to go to Russia. Because if they have gold, it'll be laissez-faire economics, low taxes, free trade, gold standard, good laws, because they have value. And that's really the bottom line. That's the difference. So that's why I tell you to buy gold, because you can see every time they've had it, the gold standard, they were number one power. And every time they got rid of it and printed money, they went bankrupt. So you can either go bankrupt with this, or you can be the number one power. You'll be the number one kid on your block with this. So you either are number one or you go bankrupt. Which would you choose? So don't even listen to me, but listen to the proof. Listen to the history. History's never wrong. It's history. It's what happened. But that's where I get all my information is looking at what happened. Why did the Roman Empire go out? Because they got out of the fucking gold standard and they took all the gold and silver out of their coins. And then they were paper and they printed, and then price controls, and at the end, they tried doing it. That's what I read you at the end there. The guy went back to the gold and they were successful for another few hundred years. Where is that? So price and wage controls destroyed the Roman economy. And here comes Constantine the Great. Constantinople, he issued a gold currency. In the East, he took them off the price controls, not the West. And the East didn't fall till 476. I'm not sure why. Big government kills the economy. The empire is the welfare state, which means everybody wants handouts. But look, he goes back to a gold currency, and he lasts until 476. And doesn't give a year on Nero's. But you can see what happens, right? The empire goes another 300-400 years because he goes on the gold standard. Every time Rome was on the gold standard, they were number one. They were very successful. And then when they get off gold standard, the crime, the idiots, and the welfare. But that's why you can't give one man too much power, too much control. Like, and that's what J.P. Morgan has, right? J.P. Morgan and that whole bank and Jamie Dimon all have too much power, too much control. And now a select few of these oligarchs have the money and the control, like a Gates and these idiots, the Russian oligarchs, have so much money, they have this control towards Soros, and they can do illegal things because they're running the show. I think the biggest problem is really the internet, is the downfall of the U.S. That and the dollar, because before it was all we sell cars in America and Germany sold cars and Russia had oil and gas, Saudi Arabia sold gas. Everybody had their own little thing, and it was dictated to the countries. And then you got this Facebook idiot and this Instagram and Google, and these are not related to one country, but the whole world. So the idiot at Facebook is Facebooking in the Middle East and in Europe and in Asia. And so now he thinks the whole globe is his. So he doesn't want just the US. He wants, I'm going to sell to every country. And that's a very dangerous thing. So now he becomes a globalist, not an American. And then you have Amazon. You have these big companies on the internet who are selling it global. So now it's in their best interest to be global, not American. That's how fucked up they are. So that, I think, is the big problem. So that's why you hear the term globalist, and they don't care about. Now, I don't know why letting people in the borders, that's a bad thing. I think there was something with the Romans did that. Let's check our Roman history. I was watching something today. And no, it's Canada. That's what I was watching. So I was watching Canada, and their biggest, why is Canada broke? And it was because they're letting all these people in who aren't Canadians into the country. They think it's flooding the labor market. I don't agree with that. It might flood the low level labor, but I got a master's in finance. How many people with masters in finance are coming to compete with me? And if they're coming, they're not lowering my wage. If I got, if I'm making 100 grand and I see that's the market, I'm not taking 10 grand for it. Maybe at Target or these other store, the low level unskilled labor, it makes it go down a little bit, but not at my level, not engineers and IT people. They're gonna all want, the high wage. So I don't buy that. But that's what's going on in Canada. All the red Chinese that come in there and other people, and it's ruining Canada because there's too many people, but they didn't expand. So there's not enough money. In other words, they didn't add hospitals and they didn't add certain things that they need, like housing. They didn't add enough houses. We have enough houses for 1 million people, and now 5 million more come in, and they don't add houses. Well, where are you going to live? I mean, you don't have 6 million houses. You have 1 million houses, and that's a big problem in Canada. They're barely, the Marcon's running them, or whoever, the other idiot. So, when you run by Trudeau, when you run by idiots, that's why I yelled at the guy with the house. Now there's a housing crisis. Nobody can afford them. He's sitting on a $700,000 house. He'll never sell it. Who's going to buy it? There's no, everybody's leaving the country. He could have had 400,000 in gold. And he wouldn't care who's going to buy it. He could have been sitting pretty with $400,000 in gold. Now he's sitting on a $700,000 house that he can't sell. Now, Luke brought up about people buying houses here yesterday. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not really reading it. He brought up a lot of strange stuff yesterday, Luke. I would say he's listening to somebody and believing what they're saying. And then, gold's illiquid. What the hell is he talking about? Gold's one of the most liquid things. You would probably have a harder time selling this card, or maybe, excuse me, you'd have a hard, excuse me. You would have a harder time selling this card for $200, the Barry Bonds 100 count, for the demand of Barry Bonds, than selling this. Everybody wants this. Or for the reasons I just gave you, everybody should want this. Right? So where is he getting gold's illiquid? I don't get it. I kind of didn't like the tone he was using, making comments that I don't teach. As I said, when you walk into my classroom, I'm teaching you, and I expect you to bring up things I'm teaching you. And if you're going to bring in outside things, then I ask, where did you hear it from? I expect an answer. So I don't like when people pull that shit and then say, "Oh, gold's illiquid," when it isn't. And I don't want people to think it's illiquid. It's very liquid. Like I said, I could drive to my coin store, so, anytime it's open, bring this, and I'm going to get $600 or whatever spot's at. No questions asked. I can bring 100 of those coins. He'll give me a check. There I go. It's very liquid. So what bothers me is people are saying it's illiquid, and then people in our class are believing that crap. It's like saying MMT works, and I just pointed out 5 times it didn't work. At least it doesn't work in Venezuela and Brazil and Argentina and Zimbabwe and Greece and everywhere else. MMT doesn't work. You can't keep printing money. Prices go up, inflation goes up, you go bankrupt. It's happened every single time. So how can you tell me it works? Right? So that's my point. That's why you buy gold, because every time they've went on the gold standard, they were the number one economy in the world. So that's why I bring up these examples and points, is to say, look, this is what's happening. So it's not really me. This isn't really my opinion. This is me reading what's happening and understanding it. And that's it. I mean, I know this. I back it up. Roman history, Republic, 250 to 68 BC, and then 67 BC to 500 AD. That's not an opinion. I'm reading a fact. That's when the Romans did. And why did they go out? Inflation. They printed too much money. They took the gold and silver out of their coins. That's it. That is not an opinion. That's what happened. Then I get to the French and the English and the Spanish and the Netherlands. They printed money, they inflated, and they went bankrupt over and over and over. So I don't know what it takes for you to understand that's what happens. So anyway, yeah, Luke, I mean, gold is very liquid. It's probably the most liquid thing there is. You would rather have gold than this by a mile. The mantle card's fairly liquid. But again, that's what eBay does. eBay makes the collectibles liquid on eBay, right? It's an auction site. So if I have a Mickey Mantle card, eBay makes it liquid. I can put it up, post it, and have an auction, and somebody will buy it. That's the beauty of eBay. And that's very much Adam Smith, eBay. Because anybody in the world can buy it. Just pay for it, and I'll ship it to you. So don't tell me gold's not liquid. You sound really stupid when you say that. But I guess you're getting it from somewhere else. But I don't want anybody here thinking gold's not liquid. Like you're trying to scare people, and I don't like that. There's absolutely nothing. I buy it. That's why I show you I buy it. There's nothing scary about gold. we're all going to make a fortune on it because the dollar is going to go out because it goes bankrupt like it's happened every other time. So anyway, that's the thing. He who has the gold wins because you can't print it and everybody loves gold. I mean, I don't know too many people don't love it. Maybe if you don't know, you know, that's what happens. People don't know they want this. I got 300 grand of this in my account. Well, it's bankrupt versus 300 grand of this. I'll take 300 grand of this. And that's what I keep trying to pound home with the Titanic or with these stories of the prior economies and countries in the world, what they did and why they all went out. Inflation. They printed too much money. It was worthless. They went bankrupt. You can't run a country if you're bankrupt. You need money. The U.S. is bankrupt. 36 trillion in debt is bankrupt. I mean, you know, it is. So anyway, that's the point. Let's go through the baseball one more time. So today's baseball, the big game. Philly under 7.5 against Detroit, 7 units. Atlanta under 8.5, 5 units. KC will just go 3. Washington over 7.5, 5. San Diego over 7.5, 3. Boston 3 units, and the Dodgers 3 units. So not too many games, and that, you know, if we hit the Philly game, then we can lose 2-3 units and still be ahead. But obviously, we have a lot of confidence in the Philly game because the Tigers can't hit and they got their best pitcher going, so they'll throw a shutout. And then we can hear the announcers going, Colt McCoy is no longer, he's hitting 220 now, but, you know, a couple days ago, he got 3 hits. Yeah, because Chicago put in a pig to pitch. You know, they had a minor league pitching, and everybody on Detroit hit the ball because they're all a bunch of minor leaguers, and that's who they can hit. But when you get a Ranger Suarez or Nola yesterday, they didn't get any hits. Or they face Verlander or the other guy in Houston, they get no hit. I mean, so it shows you how they are against major league pitching. Anyway, that's that. Football, I got a little bit more to do on it. Look at the teams. The Roman history, very good. And again, it's always the same thing. If you get off of gold and you print, you go bankrupt. It's very simple. So anyway, I just wanted to clear that up from yesterday. Gold is very liquid. It's probably the most liquid thing. But you don't just sell it on the street. How would you sell a Picasso? Would you go on the street and go, hey, you want to buy a $1 million Picasso and then tell me it's not liquid? Well, you got to be smart enough to know where to sell it, right? I'm going to take this to the coin store where I bought it at. He'll buy it. I'm not going to go to Target and say, hey, would you like my gold coin? Why aren't you giving me $600 for it? That's what it's worth. And then, so a Picasso, you're going to an auction house. I'm going to eBay to sell. I'm not, where else am I going to sell it? Maybe a sports card show. So you got to go to the right venue to sell your stuff where the buyers are. That's true about anything, right? Anyway, just keep that in mind. So it's just to say it's not illiquid, and then I'm asking you, what are you talking about? I would expect an honest answer here, not just throw it out or Bitcoin this or Bitcoin that or stocks this or stocks that. You gotta give us an explanation of what the hell you're talking about. But anyway, didn't get an answer and didn't like the whole comment. So you need to be careful, Luke. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Any other questions or comments? The Rome's, the inflation, the gold, anything? Let's check the gold price. Although we know it's paper gold, it's not real. So the fake gold price is at 6 o'clock. It's at 23.21. Silver's at 28.94. Neither price is accurate for physical gold and silver. They are derivative prices. So JP Morgan can run options and make money on the options. That's their little game, but in no way is the physical price of gold or silver. It's used as the physical price because there isn't a mechanism that there's a physical price. There's no physical auction. eBay is looking at the paper price, adding a little bit. Don't know why. Makes no sense. Why are you starting with the paper price? Paper price isn't anything, and the physical price is. So it makes absolutely no sense on eBay to start it like that. I like how this is. I don't know what the value is. I'm putting this on auction. We'll start it at $2, 50 count Mahomes, and it goes up to 2,000. Okay, now I have an idea what the market says it's for, or at least what people want to buy it for. And that's how gold is. I don't have a market price on it. I got some. Well, let's look at spot, and then we'll add 100, and all the auctions are the same, and we'll never get a real physical price on eBay if they're looking at the paper price. But if I tried to put $4,000 for my quarter ounce, I'd never sell it because you could buy it for $650 on eBay because you're getting flung in by the paper price. So that's really the problem. Anyway, 2.5 hours. Anything else? Greg or John, you still awake? Bobby, where the hell are you? Luke? Anybody? All right. Anyway, that's gold. So that's what happened. So that's what happened to Rome. Same thing happened to France, England, and the U.S. in 2024. They went bankrupt because they printed too much money. And everybody's going to get their shit beat out of them unless you substitute and buy the gold and silver, and that's your protection. That's why we scream about it, is that's your protection. But does anybody hear? Does anybody care? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? Oh, I got 300 grand in the bank. I got oil stocks, so I'm okay. I don't need gold. I don't understand what gold is anyway, and I'm too stubborn to understand it. I think that's what you get. Most people are very stubborn. They don't even want to know. They don't, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't prove it, even though I just gave 10 examples of it. And that's the problem. People are, for some reason, they don't want to listen. Either they're scared or they're lazy. They don't, even if they know what to do, I don't want to sell my stuff and buy gold. Oh, that'd be too hard. And they don't want to listen. They don't even want to hear it. No, I got my money in the bank. I'm fine. I don't want to hear about gold because gold's such a low price. Well, that's paper gold. It's gold. It's all. It's dealing with like morons. You can't. There's nothing you can do. They're too stupid to listen and learn, and that's bad education. It's bad school systems that we have. People don't learn in schools now. So why isn't this taught in school? It was in my master's program because I got lucky that I had a teacher who taught Austrian economics. Otherwise, I'd have no idea. And I wouldn't have any gold, and I'd just be sitting there going, "Oh, I got 200,000 in the bank. I'll be okay. Why should I worry? Oh, you mean it's worthless now? Oh, why didn't they tell me? Oh, my government fucked me. How unusual." So that's really the problem. All right, I've had enough fun. www.teaserking.com. You got your baseball for today. We touch college football. No picks, just simply still in the analytical stage. And off we go. Maybe I'll put the defense in for the NFL. The difference in the NFL is that all seems to be between 18 and 24. Every team, a lot of teams at 18, 19, and then 20, 21, 22. So it's hard to use. You just have to kind of eyeball it. College, I get teams that are like Georgia that are 11 and 12, I got teams that give up 34. So there's a huge difference. But in the pros, it all blends. They're all so bad. There's a few good teams and the rest suck. So they're all 22, 23 defenses, which don't help you at all. All right. I'm out of here. Have a good night. About the same time. What's tomorrow? Wednesday. Yeah, probably about 3 o'clock ish. www.teaserking.com. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy. If you have questions, go to Teaser King and you can email me. I'm more than happy, or just ask them here. Anybody, just besides Greg or John and the real D can ask questions. Um, it's the only way I know that I right now assume you get it, but you might not get it, but you don't ask questions. So don't be shy if you have questions. And I know I cover different subjects: football, baseball, gold, the Romans, inflation, and everything. I just have a broad scope, so I can wear 5 or 6 hats. I don't really want to do 5 shows. I don't want to do a baseball show and a college football show and then a gold show and a Roman show and inflation show. So I try to move them together and just look for the spot where you want to listen to it. All right. Have a good night. www.teaserking.com. All right. Take care, everybody.